Hello, welcome to Bourbon and a Baby. My name is Jay. Max will not be joining us today because Max is a baby and he cannot drink bourbon with me. So I have a special review for today. This is Metallica's Blackened Whiskey. This is a first non-bourbon that I'll be reviewing on the channel, but it is a blend of a bourbon, a rye, and what they just call a whiskey. And then those are all put together and aged in black brandy casks. And while it's aging in black brandy casks, one of the coolest parts about this whiskey is that it is then assaulted with a battery of Metallica music while it's aging, and each batch has its own playlist. And so this is batch 93. As I'm tasting this, we'll look at the playlist. Future Jay here. You might see me pop up from time to time because there were a few things I forgot to say during the original filming of this video. I wanted to emphasize the point that I am very biased going into this tasting. That is because I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I've been a Metallica fan for a pretty long time now. In fact, I've seen them in concert 6 times. The first time I saw them live was in 1996 at Lollapalooza. That was the year that they co-headlined the Lollapalooza tour with Soundgarden. I saw them at Buckeye Lake Music Center near Columbus, Ohio, which is no longer open, I believe. But what an amazing show to see Soundgarden and then Metallica. It was after that performance. I was a Metallica fan before I went to that concert, but it was after that performance that I really kind of went all in and became a massive Metallica fan. I also saw them in 1997 at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Then I saw them in 98 at Riverbend Music Center, which is in Cincinnati. And then I saw them, one of the coolest concerts I went to, other than that Lollapalooza, this was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1999. They put on a show at the Pontiac Silverdome to bring in the new year, the year 2000. So I celebrated Y2K with Metallica. It was awesome. Then I saw them again in 2003 when they did their Summer Sanitarium tour. I saw them at the Horseshoe in Columbus, and then I just saw them back in 2017 at Comerica Park for their Hardwired tour. So again, if you ever get a chance, if you're a Metallica fan and you have not seen them live, please, I know their tickets are a little bit expensive, but they put on one of the best shows you'll ever see. So I highly, highly recommend seeing a Metallica show if you have the opportunity. But I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And this comes in at 45% or 90 proof. And this is still under the Dave Pickerell, the Master Distiller, who recently passed away about a year or so ago. So this is still one of his releases. They do have a new Master Distiller now named Rob Dietrich, who actually follows me on Instagram. So shout out to Rob Dietrich. So Metallica worked with Dave Pickerell on for this whiskey, for Blackened Whiskey. And if you are in the bourbon community, you know who Dave Pickerell is, a legend in bourbon. If you are not so versed in the bourbon community, you might not know who Dave Pickerell is. Dave Pickerell was, for a long time, worked at Maker's Mark, was a big reason for their kind of success. He helped really push that brand really, really hard. And then he kind of went out and did a lot of his own thing. Kind of became a freelancer, if you will, in bourbon. He would go and he would help new distillers get their brands going and things like that. So some of the brands that he helped get started, probably the most popular one, or what he's most known for, is Whistle Pig. So he was very integral in the development of that product, the Whistle Pig product. But tons of other startups he really helped along the way, craft distillers and such. In fact, he even helped to revive George Washington's rye whiskey recipe at the Mount Vernon estate. So pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, Dave Pickerell, a legend, unfortunately passed away shortly after the release of Blackened Whiskey. But you know, his fingerprints were really heavily on this whiskey. Rob Dietrich, who is filling in for those big shoes left behind by Dave Pickerell, is known for the work that he did at Stranahan's whiskey, which is out of Colorado. He was big in developing that brand and putting his stamp on it. So I'm really curious to see kind of what happens with Blackened Whiskey now with Rob Dietrich at the helm. If you've ever seen a picture of Rob Dietrich, he's a guy that looks like he could be in Metallica. So I think it's going to be a really good fit, him working with the band on this whiskey and what they do in the future. So I'm really excited about that. In fact, kind of a funny story that I was reading up a little bit on Rob Dietrich and his involvement in the hiring process with him in the band. And he said he actually, before he got into distilling, he worked in music actually, and he was a stagehand for the Lollapalooza '96 tour, or maybe one of the shows. I don't know if it was the whole tour of just one local show, but he helped set up for Metallica. He said he didn't meet them then, but he helped kind of set up that show. So it's kind of cool. I feel kind of a personal connection since Lollapalooza '96 was the first time I saw Metallica. Rob Dietrich helped set up that show for them, and now he is their Master Distiller. So pretty cool stuff, pretty cool connections. So yeah, I'll be curious to see if Rob Dietrich kind of follows along the same path that Dave Pickerell laid out, or if he'll go through the never and kind of forge his own path and do something a little bit different with the brand. So that'll be interesting to watch. So I'll definitely want to revisit this once they're released with his name on it. So let's go ahead and give this a nose. It's got like a sweet amber color, and I'm picking up a lot of sweetness on the nose as well. It's interesting. It's not like a traditional bourbon nose that I'm used to, but I do get vanilla, but I'm getting kind of a fruit aspect to it, and maybe even a little bit, just a hint of ginger. It's really interesting. So I wonder if the kind of finishing in brandy is what's helping some of those sweeter notes stand out. I get a slight brown sugar, but not too heavy. Yeah, I'm getting just mostly real sweet notes on the nose, which is really interesting. All right, I'm excited to taste this and see if this will either be the hero of the day or if it will put me to my creeping death. It's really interesting. There's a few things going on here. First, right up front, it hits you with kind of a lot of heat, even for 90 proof. That first kind of initial hit feels like it's hotter than 90 proof, but then as it kind of sits and rests, it mellows a lot, and then so you kind of get hit with like this, like you're riding the lightning. But then it smooths out and kind of goes down and gets a lot more mellow. And like now I'm getting some brown sugar. I'm getting a little bit of molasses, but I'm still mostly picking up those sweeter notes. But there's a hint again of kind of that fresh fruit coming through, like almost like an apricot flavor. I think that's what I'm getting. Yeah, and I can really taste the oak on that second sip in a good way. I like when I can kind of taste that toasted oak. So that's really pushing through. So yeah, one of the nice things about this is, like I said, initially you get hit with kind of that fuel up front, so it's a little bit hot, but then it really mellows out. And it's really nice and easy to drink. Yeah, this is a fun whiskey to drink, because you're kind of getting something different with every sip. And I don't know about you guys. Some people like something to be really consistent, but I really like when some of these things really just throw me for a loop and throw a bunch of different things at me, and I'm getting that with this whiskey here, which I'm glad that I like it, because if I didn't, obviously I'm a Metallica fan, so I wanted to like this before I even had it, but at the end of the day, you have to decide, whether or not this is good or not, and nothing else matters. So this is good. I do recommend this. I think retails around $40 to $45 ish MSRP, and I definitely think it's worth that. I would not have a problem paying that for this bottle. Unfortunately for me, I live in Ohio, and this is not available here yet. But it seems like the distribution is getting a little bit better. It kind of started off where you could basically only get it in Wisconsin and I think California, but I know now it's becoming available in more and more states. I think Illinois just recently got it, so hopefully for me and anybody else watching this in Ohio, we'll be able to get it soon. But yeah, again, this is really good. I do want to say the playlist of this batch. So like I said, this is batch number 93, and it has a pretty killer playlist, I think, if you're a Metallica fan. So the playlist was put together by Robert Trujillo, the bass player. So the playlist is Through the Never, Bread Fan, My Friend of Misery, Atlas Rise, Dream No More, Leper Messiah, Moth into Flame, and Hit the Lights. So that's a pretty bitchin' playlist, if you ask me. So yeah, again, if it's all within my hands, I would tell you to go out and buy a bottle if you can. Give this a pour, give this a taste. I think you'll really like it. So. Alright, so if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Hit the like button if you like this video. That really helps me get seen and helps YouTube to recommend my content to more people. You can also share this with your friends. You can follow Max and myself on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you are so inclined, you can buy some sweet, sweet Bourbon and a Baby swag at our shop on Spreadshirt. I'll put the link in the description below. Cheers. This is the one. Hey, today, if you're still watching, I wanted to do a quick giveaway. So I mentioned that in this video that Lollapalooza 96 was the first time that I saw Metallica live. I would have been 16 years old at the time, but it was not my first ever concert. My first ever concert happened earlier in 1996, and I saw this concert at the Toledo Sports Arena. So if anybody can guess what my first concert was, and you can't be somebody that knows me personally because you might know this answer, but if any of you can guess what my first concert would have been, I will send you some type of a giveaway. I can work with you on what that is, maybe a sample of something good that I have, or anything along those lines. So yeah, what was my first concert? It was early 1996 at the Toledo Sports Arena.